There's something undeniably transformative about entering a new year. It's a threshold, a space that whispers promises of growth and reinvention. But with growth comes a painful truth: not everyone who started this journey with you is meant to walk with you all the way. You see, letting go is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of clarity. It's understanding that some people aren't rooting for your highest good. Their words may not always wound, but their energy drains. Their actions, or lack thereof, create tiny fractures in your confidence, your joy, and your sense of self. So what do? Do you fight, explain, or plead for them to change? No. In 2025, you cut them off silently, gracefully, and with love for yourself. Silence doesn't mean indifference, it means wisdom. It's the decision to stop explaining your worth to people who refuse to see it. It's the refusal to engage in battles that have no resolution, no growth, and no reciprocity. Silence is setting a boundary without the need for an elaborate defense. It's saying, I deserve more without uttering a single word. Growth often requires the courage to let go of relationships that no longer serve your well-being. This idea isn't just a fleeting thought or a convenient justification for walking away. It's a profound truth rooted in the very essence of what it means to grow, evolve, and step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. Yet, the act of letting go is never as simple as it sounds. It requires bravery, self-awareness, and an unwavering commitment to your own well-being, a commitment that many of us struggle to honor. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens when you begin to prioritize your well-being. You start to notice the small things that once felt normal but now feel heavy: the snide comments passed off as jokes, the patterns of inconsistency that leave you feeling unsupported, or the subtle undermining of your dreams and ambitions. At first, it's easy to dismiss these things. You tell yourself it's not a big deal, that everyone has flaws, or that you're just being overly sensitive. But deep down, a part of you knows the truth: these dynamics are no longer aligned with who you are becoming. The challenge, however, is that letting go often feels like betrayal. You may question yourself: am I being selfish? Ungrateful? Should I give them another chance? But growth asks hard questions of us, and one of the hardest is this: what are you willing to sacrifice for your own well-being? The answer isn't always comfortable, but it's clear you cannot continue to carry the weight of relationships that drain your energy, dim your light, or pull you back into old versions of yourself. To hold on to these relationships is to deny yourself the freedom to grow, and that is a cost too high to bear. Choosing to let go is not an act of cruelty, nor is it about judgment. It's about alignment. It's about recognizing that as you grow, your needs, values, and boundaries evolve. What once felt comfortable may now feel suffocating. The relationships that once nurtured you may now stifle you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean those people are bad or that you are better than them. It simply means that you're growing in different directions, and that divergence is a natural part of life. But knowing this doesn't make the process any easier. The act of letting go requires courage because it demands that you confront not only the fear of losing others, but also the fear of being misunderstood. It's unlikely that everyone will understand your decision, and some may even challenge it. They might accuse you of being cold, distant, or ungrateful. They might try to guilt you into staying in the relationship or make you question your own motives. But here's the truth: you don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your well-being. Growth is an inside job, and not everyone will have a front row seat to your transformation. One of the most profound lessons you'll learn in this process is that love and loyalty are not synonymous with self-sacrifice. You can love someone deeply and still recognize that their presence in your life is no longer healthy. You can appreciate the role they've played in your journey and still choose to move forward without them. Love doesn't mean holding on at all costs sometimes. The most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to let go. Letting go also teaches you the power of boundaries. It's not about building walls or shutting people out. It's about creating space for what truly serves your highest good. Boundaries are not a rejection of others. They are an affirmation of yourself. They say, this is what I need to thrive, and I'm willing to protect it. And while setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to doing so, they are essential for your growth. Without them, you risk losing yourself in the process of trying to please others. As you let go of relationships that no longer serve your well-being, you may find yourself facing moments of loneliness. This is perhaps one of the hardest parts of the journey, because growth often feels like stepping into the unknown. But it's in this space of solitude that you discover the depth of your own strength. You learn to trust yourself, to listen to your intuition, and to find comfort in your own company. And as you do, you begin to attract relationships that are aligned with the person you are becoming, relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and authenticity. It's important to remember that letting go doesn't mean closing the door on love or connection. On the contrary, it creates space for deeper, more meaningful connections. When you release relationships that weigh you down, you make room for those that uplift and inspire you. You open yourself to the possibility of being surrounded by people who see you, value you, and celebrate your growth. And these relationships are worth the wait. In the end, growth is about becoming the truest, fullest version of yourself. It's about shedding the layers of fear, doubt, and limitation that have held you back. It's about standing in your power and knowing that you are worthy of relationships that nourish your soul. And while the process of letting go is undoubtedly challenging, it is also profoundly liberating. It is a declaration to the universe that you are ready to step into your greatness, unencumbered by the weight of what no longer serves you. So if you find yourself at a crossroads, wondering whether it's time to let go of a relationship, listen to your heart. Trust that inner voice that whispers you deserve more, and know that choosing yourself is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of courage. It's a testament to your growth and a promise to honor the person you are becoming. Because at the end of the day, your well-being is not negotiable, it is your birthright. Silence is a powerful boundary that speaks volumes without the need for confrontation. It's a quiet but resolute act that often holds more weight than any words could convey. In a world where everyone seems to be talking, where debates and opinions are shared at every corner, silence can sometimes feel like the odd one out. But in reality, it is one of the most potent tools we possess when it comes to protecting our peace and reinforcing our boundaries. The challenge with silence, however, is that it is often misunderstood. People assume that silence is the absence of communication, or worse, an indication of weakness or fear. They might expect you to react, to explain yourself, or to engage in a verbal battle to defend your position. But silence is not about lack of communication, it's about choosing not to engage in a conversation or situation that doesn't align with your values, your peace, or your emotional well-being. It's an intentional decision, made not out of fear, but out of a deep understanding of your own worth and boundaries. In moments of tension, conflict, or manipulation, our first instinct is often to react. We feel the need to explain, to justify our feelings, to defend our actions, or to win the argument. And in many cases, that reaction comes from a place of insecurity. We fear that if we don't speak up, we'll be misunderstood, dismissed, or disrespected. But the truth is, not every situation requires a response. Not every slight, comment, or criticism deserves a rebuttal. By reacting, we often give away our power, allowing someone else to dictate the terms of the interaction. Silence, on the other hand, is a powerful way to take back control. When we choose silence, we assert a boundary. It's a way of saying, I will not participate in this dynamic. I will not engage in this conversation because it is not productive, respectful, or healthy for me. This can be incredibly difficult, especially if you've spent a lifetime being taught that silence is synonymous with weakness. But silence is not weakness, it is strength in its purest form. It's an active decision to protect yourself emotionally, mentally, and even physically. There is a wisdom in silence that we often overlook. It allows us to process our emotions without getting swept up in the heat of the moment. It gives us the space to reflect, to calm down, and to respond from a place of clarity, not from a place of anger or hurt. In many cases, the things we say in the heat of the moment are words we later regret, words that only escalate the situation or harm the relationship. Silence allows us to avoid those missteps, to choose not to speak when we're not ready to speak, and to respond when we're centered and grounded. Silence also speaks volumes in situations where words are used to manipulate or control. There are people who thrive on drama, who stir the pot, and who push others into emotional turmoil. When you engage with them, when you react to their provocations, you give them exactly what they want. They seek your attention, your response, and your emotional investment. But by remaining silent, you deny them that power. You refuse to play their game, and in doing so, you take away their control. They no longer have the ability to push your buttons, to pull you into their chaos. Your silence becomes a powerful statement, I will not be your emotional pawn. The beauty of silence is that it doesn't require explanation. People may ask, why aren't you saying anything? Aren't you going to respond? But in those moments, silence is all the explanation that's needed. You don't have to justify your choice to remain silent. You don't have to offer a reason or defend your peace. You simply choose not to engage. In fact, silence often speaks more clearly than words ever could. It communicates that you are not available for toxicity, that you are not willing to sacrifice your mental or emotional health for the sake of a fleeting conversation or argument. It says that you are grounded enough in your sense of self to not be pulled into dynamics that are not for you. One of the most difficult aspects of embracing silence as a boundary is the fear of how others will perceive it. People who are accustomed to engaging in constant verbal exchanges may see your silence as a challenge to their authority or power. They might accuse you of being cold, distant, or rude. They might even label you as passive-aggressive or accuse you of withholding information. But these reactions are often a projection of their own discomfort. Silence forces them to confront their own behavior, their own need for validation or control. And when people can't get the reaction they're used to, they can become unsettled. But this is not your problem to solve. Your silence is not an invitation for their judgment. It's a declaration of your boundaries. At the same time, silence is not about ignoring or avoiding conflict. It's about choosing not to engage in conflict that isn't worth your energy. There are certain people, situations, and conversations that will never be productive. No matter how much you argue, no matter how many points you make, you won't change their mind or improve the situation. Silence, in these instances, is a form of wisdom. It's knowing that engaging further will only drag you into a cycle of frustration and negativity. Instead, by choosing silence, you preserve your energy and avoid getting caught in a destructive pattern. Another key benefit of silence is that it gives you the space to honor your own emotions. When we are constantly reacting, we can lose touch with how we truly feel. We get caught up in the noise of the situation, in the urgency of responding and the need to be heard. But silence offers the opportunity to slow down, to check in with yourself, and to decide how you truly feel. It allows you to process emotions without being pressured to respond immediately. And often, after sitting in silence for a moment, you'll realize that the need to respond fades away. You may even realize that there's nothing to respond to at all, that the situation, in fact, doesn't require your input or involvement. Embracing silence also requires us to build a deep sense of trust in ourselves. It's easy to feel compelled to react when we don't trust our own ability to handle the situation. We fear that if we don't say something, we'll be overlooked or ignored. But when we trust ourselves, when we know that our worth is not tied to constant verbal validation or explanation, we can hold space for silence without fear. We understand that we don't have to prove ourselves to anyone. We don't have to explain our choices or our emotions. Our silence becomes a testament to our confidence, to our belief that we are enough, even without the need to constantly assert our position. In some ways, silence is the ultimate form of self-care. It is a way to reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace. It protects you from toxic dynamics, from being drawn into conflicts that don't serve you, and from being overwhelmed by external pressures. In a world that often prioritizes noise, silence is a rare and precious gift. It offers clarity, strength, and the freedom to move through life on your own terms. Ultimately, silence is an invitation to step into your power. It's a way of saying, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it to you. It's a way of setting a boundary that honors your well-being, your energy, and your emotional health. And while silence may be misunderstood or even uncomfortable at times, it is one of the most profound tools we have for protecting our peace and maintaining our integrity. Protecting your peace is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. This is a truth that can be difficult to internalize in a world that constantly tells us to prioritize the needs of others, often at the expense of our own. From a young age, many of us are taught that to be loved, accepted, or valued, we must give, and give until there's nothing left. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is determined by how much we do for others, how much we sacrifice, and how much we put up with. But the reality is, true self-respect comes from setting boundaries, asserting our needs, and choosing to protect our peace. Protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is a radical act of self-love, one that affirms your worth and your right to live a life free from unnecessary stress, chaos, and negativity. The concept of protecting your peace may sound simple on the surface, but it's far more profound than it appears. In its essence, protecting your peace is about making conscious choices that prioritize your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's about recognizing when situations, people, or environments are draining your energy and taking proactive steps to shield yourself from further harm. It's about understanding that your peace is sacred and that in order to live a fulfilling life, you must cultivate and nurture it, just as you would any other important aspect of your well-being. So why do we struggle with this idea? Why do so many of us feel guilty when we make the decision to protect our peace? The answer lies in the deeply ingrained cultural narrative that equates self-care with selfishness. We've been taught that putting ourselves first is somehow wrong, that it makes us bad friends, bad partners, or bad family members. But this thinking is rooted in a toxic belief that our value is tied to how much we can give to others, often at the cost of our own peace and happiness. The truth is, if we are constantly giving from an empty cup, we have nothing left to offer anyone. And eventually, that exhaustion and depletion will catch up to us. True self-respect means honoring your own needs, desires, and boundaries. It means recognizing that you are worthy of peace, rest, and joy just as much as anyone else. It means understanding that you have the right to say no, to walk away from toxic relationships, and to disengage from situations that leave you feeling drained, anxious, or overwhelmed. Protecting your peace is not about being selfish, it's about being responsible for your own well-being. It's about setting a standard for the kind of energy you allow into your life and refusing to tolerate anything less than what you deserve. In practice, protecting your peace requires a deep sense of self-awareness. You must become attuned to your emotional and physical responses to the people and situations around you. When you're in an environment or with someone who is negatively impacting your peace, you'll feel it in your body tension in your chest, tightness in your throat, or a sense of unease that you can't quite explain. These are the signals your body is sending you, telling you that something is out of alignment with your well-being. But in order to protect your peace, you have to be willing to listen to these signals and take action. This might mean leaving a conversation early, setting a boundary with a family member, or choosing not to engage with someone who consistently drains your energy. It's also important to recognize that protecting your peace doesn't always require confrontation. You don't have to explain, justify, or apologize for your need for peace. Sometimes protecting your peace simply means choosing not to engage, not to react, and not to absorb the negativity or chaos that others may try to bring into your life. It means recognizing that you are not responsible for other people's emotions, behaviors, or reactions. You can't control how others behave, but you can control how you respond. And in many cases, the most powerful response is no response at all. Choosing not to react is one of the most effective ways to protect your peace because it prevents you from being pulled into unnecessary drama, conflict, or emotional turmoil. One of the most profound ways to protect your peace is to surround yourself with people who respect and honor your boundaries. The relationships we maintain have a significant impact on our peace, and it's important to choose relationships that are mutually supportive, loving, and uplifting. Not all relationships are meant to last, and sometimes protecting your peace means walking away from relationships that are toxic or no longer aligned with who you are becoming. This is not an easy decision to make, especially when those relationships are with people you care about deeply, but it's an essential one. Toxic relationships, whether with friends, family, or romantic partners, are often characterized by manipulation, dishonesty, disrespect, or emotional exhaustion. These relationships erode your sense of self-worth and leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and emotionally depleted. Protecting your peace means having the strength to distance yourself from people who do not support your growth, who bring negativity into your life, or who consistently disregard your boundaries. But protecting your peace doesn't just mean cutting off toxic people, it also means taking proactive steps to cultivate positive, nurturing relationships. It means spending time with people who bring out the best in you, who support your dreams, who listen without judgment, and who make you feel safe and loved. Healthy relationships are a cornerstone of a peaceful life, and it's important to make space for these relationships while also distancing yourself from those that are harmful. Surrounding yourself with people who respect your peace will help you maintain a sense of balance and clarity, even in the midst of life's inevitable challenges. Another important aspect of protecting your peace is learning how to manage your time and energy effectively. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, to feel overwhelmed by the constant demands on your time and attention. But protecting your peace requires you to be intentional with how you spend your time. You must learn to prioritize your own well-being over external pressures or obligations that do not align with your values. This might mean saying no to certain invitations or commitments, setting aside time for rest and relaxation, or establishing boundaries with your work or other responsibilities. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are finite resources, and that you have the right to decide how you allocate them. Protecting your peace means making choices that allow you to feel balanced, grounded, and at ease rather than constantly running on empty. In addition to managing your time, protecting your peace also requires taking care of your body. Physical well-being is deeply interconnected with mental and emotional peace, and when we neglect our physical health, it becomes harder to maintain inner peace. Regular exercise, a nutritious diet, adequate sleep, and mindfulness practices are all essential for maintaining a sense of peace and well-being. Taking care of your body is a form of self-respect, as it acknowledges that you deserve to feel good, both physically and emotionally. When you prioritize your physical health, you create a strong foundation for maintaining your inner peace, even in the face of external stressors. Protecting your peace also means developing resilience. Life is unpredictable, and it's inevitable that you will face challenges, setbacks, and moments of stress. But how you respond to these challenges plays a significant role in maintaining your peace. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity without allowing it to define you or disrupt your sense of peace. It's about finding strength in difficult moments, practicing self-compassion, and learning to navigate life's obstacles with grace and equanimity. Resilience is a skill that can be cultivated through mindfulness, emotional awareness, and self-reflection. The more resilient you become, the easier it will be to protect your peace, even in the face of life's uncertainties. Ultimately, protecting your peace is an ongoing practice. It requires constant self-awareness, regular reflection, and a commitment to honoring your boundaries, needs, and values. It's a lifelong journey of learning to listen to your body, trust your instincts, and make choices that prioritize your well-being. And while it may feel uncomfortable at times, especially when it involves saying no to others or distancing yourself from toxic relationships, it is an essential act of self-respect. Protecting your peace is not a selfish choice, it is an act of self-love that allows you to show up fully for yourself and for others. Because when you protect your peace, you create the space for joy, clarity, and deep fulfillment to enter your life. And that, in itself, is the greatest gift you can give to yourself. Letting go of the things and people that no longer serve you is a necessary, albeit difficult, part of personal growth. Life is a journey of constant change, and with every new chapter, we are called to shed what is no longer aligned with our higher purpose. These can be relationships, habits, beliefs, environments, or even self-imposed limitations that hold us back from stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. The act of letting go is not just about physical possessions or external situations. It's an internal process of release, of freeing yourself from attachments that have outlived their purpose. And while letting go can be one of the most challenging things we do, it is also one of the most liberating. Often we hold on to things or people out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, or fear of being alone. We become attached to situations because they provide us with comfort, even if that comfort is rooted in negativity or stagnation. It's easier to stay in a familiar place, even if it's not the healthiest or most fulfilling, because the thought of stepping into uncertainty feels daunting. But clinging to the past, whether it's a relationship, a job, or an outdated version of ourselves, only prevents us from moving forward. It keeps us stuck in a cycle of repetition, where we're unable to evolve, grow, or experience the full range of possibilities that life has to offer. Letting go requires courage. It's a decision to release what no longer aligns with your values or supports your well-being, and it's a choice that must be made consciously. The process often starts with self-awareness. You begin to recognize that the people, situations, or beliefs you've been holding on to are no longer serving your highest good. Maybe you're in a relationship that drains your energy instead of uplifting you, or maybe you've been holding on to a job that no longer challenges you or brings you joy. Whatever it may be, the first step in letting go is recognizing that it's time to move on. But even after you've identified what needs to go, the act of letting go is not always easy. There is a sense of attachment that can feel deeply rooted, and the thought of releasing it can stir up feelings of guilt, sadness, or uncertainty. When it comes to people, we may feel as though we are betraying them or abandoning them. We may worry about the consequences of stepping away, whether it's the end of a friendship, the dissolution of a relationship, or the fear of disappointing someone. However, it's essential to understand that letting go of people or situations that no longer serve you is not an act of betrayal. It is an act of self-respect. You cannot continue to carry the weight of relationships or commitments that drain you. Doing so only prevents you from being your best self, both for yourself and for those around you. Letting go of people doesn't mean you don't care about them. It simply means that you care enough about yourself to recognize when it's time to step away. Relationships are meant to uplift and support one another, and when they become toxic or one-sided, they can create an imbalance that takes a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. The reality is that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that's okay. It's important to understand that you have the right to distance yourself from people who hinder your growth, who bring negativity into your life, or who do not honor your boundaries. This act of letting go is not about cutting people out of your life out of spite or anger. It's about honoring your own journey and making space for people who can support and encourage your growth. Similarly, letting go of outdated beliefs or self-imposed limitations is equally crucial for growth. Many of us hold on to limiting beliefs about ourselves, ideas like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, or I'll never change. These beliefs often stem from past experiences or societal conditioning, and they can become so ingrained that we don't even recognize them as false. We carry these beliefs with us like a heavy burden, allowing them to dictate our actions, decisions, and perceptions of ourselves. But in order to grow, we must let go of these limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. We must acknowledge that we are capable of change, that we deserve success, and that we are worthy of happiness and fulfillment. Letting go of these old narratives is a necessary step in embracing the person we are becoming. Letting go also applies to situations or environments that no longer support our growth. This could be a job that no longer challenges you or a living situation that stifles your energy. We often hold on to these situations out of a sense of security or obligation, but if they do not align with who we are now or who we want to become, they will continue to drain our energy. Sometimes we must make the difficult decision to step away from something that is no longer serving us in order to make space for something better. This might involve taking a leap of faith and stepping into the unknown, but it is in these moments of uncertainty that growth often occurs. When we let go of what no longer serves us, we make room for new opportunities, new experiences, and new possibilities to enter our lives. Letting go is also about releasing the need for control. We often hold on to situations and people because we want to control the outcome. We want to fix things, make people happy, or ensure that things go a certain way. But the truth is, we cannot control everything. We cannot control other people's actions, and we cannot control the timing of our dreams and desires. Sometimes letting go means surrendering control and trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. It's about having faith that even in the midst of uncertainty, you are on the right path and that everything will work out in due time. Letting go allows us to release the need for perfection and embrace the flow of life as it is. One of the greatest obstacles to letting go is fear, the fear of losing something important, the fear of change, and the fear of the unknown. These fears are natural, and they often arise when we are faced with the prospect of releasing something or someone that has been a part of our lives for a long time. However, it's essential to recognize that holding on to things out of fear only keeps us stuck in a stagnation. Fear of change can prevent us from stepping into the next phase of our lives, and fear of loss can make us hold on to people and situations that no longer serve us. But in letting go, we allow ourselves to grow, evolve, and move toward the future that awaits us. Letting go also involves the practice of forgiveness. This doesn't necessarily mean forgiving others for their actions, but rather forgiving yourself for staying in situations or relationships that no longer served you. Forgiveness is not about excusing past behavior, it's about releasing the emotional weight that those experiences carry. When we hold on to resentment, anger, or guilt, we continue to carry the burden of those emotions with us, and they prevent us from moving forward. Letting go of this emotional baggage is essential for healing and for creating the space needed for new experiences to enter our lives. In the end, letting go is an act of trust. It is trusting that by releasing what no longer serves you, you are making space for something greater, something that is in alignment with your highest good. It is trusting that by stepping into the unknown, you are opening yourself up to new possibilities, growth, and transformation. Letting go is not about losing something, it's about gaining the freedom to step into a new chapter of your life, one that is filled with peace, fulfillment, and the opportunity to fully embrace who you are becoming. In conclusion, letting go is not merely an act of release, but an essential step in personal growth and transformation. It is a process that requires courage, self-awareness, and a deep commitment to honoring yourself in your journey. Whether it's relationships, outdated beliefs, or situations that no longer serve you, the act of letting go creates space for new opportunities, healthier connections, and the freedom to fully step into your potential. Though the process can be challenging, it is also liberating. It allows you to break free from the chains of fear, attachment, and limitation, opening the door to a life that is more aligned with your true self. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you are not losing, but gaining the peace, clarity, and growth that come from releasing the past and embracing the future with open arms. It is in this space of release that you find the opportunity to flourish and evolve into the person you are meant to be.